Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakha, Kodash. Double honor salutations to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to you brothers out here pushing the truth with fear and sincerity. Shalom to the hopeful elect. It's your brother Kalak Hart of GMS Northwest. Coming back at you with another video. This will be quick. Australia takes another step towards a central bank digital currency. Reuters, Sydney. Australia's central bank said on Thursday it was taking another major step towards a wholesale central bank digital currency, CBDC, with a range of industry partners pursuing projects using real money and assets for the first time. Yeah, that real money and assets. Says the Reserve Bank of Australia said its project Acacia initiative would test 19 pilot cases involving money and assets along with 5 proof of concept use cases involving simulated transactions. The trials involved a range of assets classes, including fixed income, private markets, trade receivables, carbon credits. Proposed settlements assets include CBDCs, stablecoin, bank deposit tokens, as well as new ways to using commercial banking existing deposits at the RBA. The platforms include Hydra, Redbelly, R3 Quarter, Canvas Connect, and other compatible networks. Testing will occur over the next 6 months, with a report due in the first half of next year, the RBA says. So, hey, we're getting close to the digital money front, where money is just digital, and it's backed up by what? Gold and silver and precious metals. This paper dollar, this dollar, is beginning to was already crumbling, and with this new bill, which hold on, debt ceiling raised. Yeah, with the debt ceiling raised, here's the big beautiful bill reversed to the legislation passed by the Senate that includes a $5 trillion increase in debt ceiling. This increase intends to allow the U.S. to continue to pay its existing obligations and afford a default. The bill also includes another provision such as tax cuts and potential spending cuts. The Senate, here's a more detailed breakdown of the debt ceiling increase. The Senate's version of the bill raises the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, exceeding the $4 trillion in increase proposed in the House version. The primary goal of raising the debt ceiling is to enable the government to meet its existing financial obligations, including paying for previous approved spending. So, if the debt ceiling going up another $5 trillion, we already at 36, so you can go up to 41 trillion. All of this doing is weakening the dollar. And Trump knows this. Why you think Bitcoin surged? When this bill came out, is because they're trying to crash the dollar. They're trying to bring in a new system where you can use your palm, you can scan your forehead, you can use the technology that's available, that's been made, that's been ushered in, that's Palantir These high-tech companies, Silicon Valley, wearable, trackable, so you don't get cancer, and we can know what your health is. All this is just preludes. These are predictive programming to that MOTB, that market of beast. We're waiting on one major, one good major, like a C-19 to happen, where this thing has to be implemented. People are already getting the MOTB without, but there's going to be a standard. There's going to be a standard chip throughout the world. First in popping up in countries. Each country will probably have its standard chip and mechanism, chip station, something along those lines. Something's going to be implemented where everybody has to fall in line. But this is from Morningstar. We know who the Morningstar is. How low can the U.S. dollar go? The U.S. dollar has suffered its worst first half since 1973, and its decline may not be over. Yeah, this decline isn't over. They're going to ride this thing until the wheels fall off. That's why I'm telling you, if anything, they're going to keep making bills to keep keep printing more money, keep making the dollar what it is, But there's going to be a day when that's going to have to end, It says, the first 6 months of the 2025 marked the worst half-year performance of the U.S. dollar since 1991, as mounting doubts about U.S. fiscal strength and capriciousness trade policy chipped away at the currency's status as a safe haven. The sharp decline has raised the question on how much further the world's reserve currency might fall with neither the trade war nor U.S. fiscal anxiety resolved. The U.S. dollar index, which measures the value of the greenback against the world's 6 most traded currencies, has lost almost 11% of its value during the first half of 2025. While only comparing first half periods, the start to this year marked the worst performance since 1973 oil crisis and the worst half year since the second half of 91. International investors have become skeptical of the dollar as public debt continues to rise and the White House aggressively pushes for a policy of easy money. In addition, concepts such as revenge tax or the Mar-a-Lago Agreement make international investors uncomfortable, explains ODDO BHF Chief Investment Officer Van Viabig, whatever. The international traders is like, yo, I don't want to fuck with this. Look at the dollar index. It's steady declining. Because this place is, it gets weaker. It's getting weaker with age, right? Second edges, let's say 13. What is it, 12? Slovakia. 14. let me start at 13. 2 Ezra 14 and 13. Now therefore set thy house in order and reprove thy people, cover such of them that be in trouble, and renounce corruption. Yeah, we setting our house in order. We getting our mind right. We know this system is tanking. We know that this current rulership can't continue to go on forever. We understand that the Lord has to come back and make things right. The earth needs a new management. So getting our spirits right, getting our spirits towards righteousness, righteousness is a must. We got to have righteousness if we want to make it into the kingdom of heaven, or be in that mindset, be in the spirit of righteousness and hoping that the Lord save you out of here and you make it on the first go around. That's why we reprove the people. We comfort such of them that be in trouble, and we call out this evil, corrupt system. That's a commandment. It says, let go from the immortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, and put off the weak nature. You can't be worried about bills. You can't be worried about how I'm going to pay this when it comes. If anything, you should have had your shit in order. You should have had your house in order. But as far as it's man, you just got to trust in the Lord at the end of the day. We can't make you see faith. We can't make you believe. But, I speak as a man and, as a brother, man, it's week to week, it's day to day. It's day to day. You gotta call on the Lord. You gotta what word am I looking for? You gotta convene. You gotta come to the Lord. Come correct. You gotta pray. You gotta do the things necessary to get closer to the Lord if you want him to sup with you. Let me read it again. Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off the weak nature. We can't be weak. The Lord ain't looking for weak men, weak-minded men. Verse 15 is set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. That's what we're hastening to flee from these times. We see the demonic technology, the AI, the image speaking, the beast. We see all of these times coming. We see the persecution coming for the 12 tribes. Northern Kingdom already getting persecuted. They looking over their left shoulder, their right shoulder. They don't know who's coming for them, anything. It says, verse 16, for greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world has become weaker through age, so much more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. Yeah, this big, beautiful bill, these laws passing, these natural disasters happening out here, and you can't get no aid. You got to get aid from your local government or local police, local emergency station. You can't get help from the federal government anymore. They trying to cut Medicaid and Medicare. They cutting those SNAP benefits. They cut the workers' comp thing. That house a lot of young adolescents, troubled youth. Getting rid of the education, Department of Education. Like these are draconian sad measures. Giving all this money to Israel. I just saw a video, and billions of dollars goes to this tiny state in the after the year. Billions on top of billions. Verse 18, it says, for the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand. For now hasten the vision to come, which thou hast seen. Verse 19, then answered I before thee and said, Behold, Lord, I will go, and thou hast commanded me, and reprove the people which are present, but they that shall be born afterwards, who shall admonish them? Thus the word is set in darkness, and they shall dwell therein, are without light. Yeah, because you don't understand. You don't see that America, Babylon, is, the at its peak, at its highest it can be, and it's very prideful. And what goes before a fall? Pride. So we're gonna continue to see this thing get ramped up even more hard times, more sorrows, more death, more lost, more natural disasters. I can only imagine what what's this place? The hurricane season has in store for the southern eastern part of the states and the Caribbean island. They just had these three. Never in history was these three floods just happened. As a matter of fact, I know this is a little bit off, but never history floods. See, all this flooding taking place I've never seen before. Hit hard with this got the flood. Texas. So we're in those times. That's why you got to get your house in order. Because this devil, he's coming down with great wrath, and he knows he has a short time. Plus, not only that, a lot of changes are going to happen. A lot of things are going to get shut down. The second Ezra 6:22 is suddenly shall the sown places be appear unsown, and the full storehouse shall shut round empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, and when every man heareth, they shall suddenly be afraid. So the decadence of America has been choked. The middle class has been choked to be more poor and poorer, while the rich get richer and richer. People are faking the funk. They all on social media acting like all that happy and proud, and when they living, check to check as well. They just, found a way to flaunt it. That's Jake. Jacob be stepping in poop, doo-doo, and find a way to, make it, dazzle it, so to speak. 24, at that time, friends shall fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The spring of the foundation shall stand still, and in the 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. And the man that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched, As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. So yeah, the truth, the storehouses shall be empty. People going to fight against one each other. All hell breaking loose in Babylon the Great. We waiting and hastening for that day. But we see, that what's happening. The big, beautiful bill. Australia with this, digital currency. The U.S. dollar failing. These countries can't get along. They still fight in war. These are end times, man. We're in the end times. So that's all. It was supposed to be quick. Hope you was edified. Hope you got something.